Defending liberty 1 hour at a time and broadcasting live from the RWB Network studios in New York City, this is the Rhino Report. Always right.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
We are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
You are very rude.
We are going to make America great again.
USA! USA! USA!
Fellow Americans, let's roll.
And now, here's your host, the Rhino.
New sheriff in town.
Hello. I am the Rhino, and this is my report today, Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016, and we are coming to you from the RWB Network headquarters in New York and live on CRN Digital Talk Radio. So how's this for an entrepreneurial spirit? Maybe you've heard of this company called BleachBit. Well, they are now selling something called Cloth or Something. Cloth or Something is a $3 item you can buy that you can wipe your server with. And it just happens to have Hillary Clinton's face on it. It's $3. If you want an autographed one from the founder of BleachBit, that's going to cost you $5. This all stemming, of course, from when Ed Henry of Fox News asked Hillary Clinton if she wiped her server, and she said, what? With a cloth or something? So go to BleachBit, and you can get your cloth, and you can add it to your Make America Great Again paraphernalia. All right, today's headlines. First, Hillary Clinton is back to her old self again, this time speaking to dozens of supporters in Florida. She tells the crowd that Donald Trump supporters are dark, divisive, and dangerous. Well, I guess that's a step up from deplorable. Also, in the wake of FBI Director Comey's decision to further investigate Hillary Clinton's mishandling of classified information, we've been keeping a close eye on mainstream media. Do you think they finally decided to report the truth, or are they still drinking the Clinton Kool-Aid? And Donald Trump's path to victory just 6 days from now seems to be getting a little less fuzzy. However, there are still a few roadblocks in the way. We'll go over the electoral map and try to find a few states that look like they're ready to make America great again. All that, plus we'll get you up to speed on this morning's shooting of 2 Iowa police officers. We'll also tell you about a woman in Flint, Michigan, who thinks Hillary Clinton should be immediately disqualified from the presidency. And later on in today's show, I'll give you today's Rhino trivia question. It's a slam dunk. It's really easy. Answer it correctly, and you could win a free sweatshirt. How about that? Fall is here. It's getting cold out. You need to get your RWB Network sweatshirt. But first, let's kick the show off the same way we always do, with a salute to our country with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a new article up on rhinoreport.com, rhinoreport.com. It's called Polling Illusions. A little sleight of hand going on, Polling Illusions by Robert. Got to check that one out. You can sign up for the newsletter there. We don't share your email address with anybody, especially Hillary Clinton or the NSA. They do not get it. And you can check out the new Rhino Rants right there, rhinoreport.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Rhino On Air, at Rhino On Air. Or you can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Rhino Report. We have 6 days to go. It's going to get nasty, guys. Buckle up.
It started at bunko night. A little tickle in my throat, says Sandra. Then comes Colin barking like a seal. That cough, that's the flu. And then it spreads to Edna, to Wiley, to Marjorie. But when it comes to your door, you won't be answering because you got your flu shot at Rite Aid, where they care about you and your health. So while they're seeing doctors and sweating through fevers, you'll be teaching your granddaughter the 2-deck shuffle. Shield yourself at Rite Aid before it's too late. If you're over 65, the CDC recommends flu and pneumonia shots. No appointments necessary, and they're free with Medicare Part B. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal. Flu vaccines available while supplies last. Age restrictions apply in some states. See pharmacy for details.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Rhino Report, this Wednesday edition. It's Wednesday. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. I feel like it was just Tuesday. I guess it was. All right. Big shout-outs to everyone listening now on Red Nation Rising Radio and streamingtalkradio.com. As always, you can check out the replay on CRN. We're on CRN at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find us there. Or on KLRNradio.com, midnight Eastern. Lots of ways to listen, or iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podbean, and iHeartRadio, among others. But those are the big ones. Those are the ones we mentioned. Getting a lot of downloads lately, and that may have something to do with our trivia question later on in the show. So keep that in the back of your head. It's one of those, it's like the weather around here lately is such that it's chilly outside. But when you get in your car and the sun has been beating on it all day, it's like 125 degrees in the car. And it's the same for the houses, too. It's like your house warms up, and you don't want to put the air conditioner on. And we can't open windows around here because it's so loud and it's smoggy and disgusting. It's like, what do you do? But it's that time of year. It's going to get cold soon, and the election, and it seems like the last, let's call it 2 years, have gone so fast. So fast. It's been a blur. You know, we did that opening story about the bleach bit cloth, wipe it or something. That happened in 2015. That happened over a year ago. That was August of 2015 when Ed Henry had asked Hillary Clinton in that gymnasium whether she, wiped her server. It seems like that happened last week. It's crazy how fast time is going. And now it's 6 days until the election, and no one knows what's going to happen. We can prognosticate all we want, and we'll do that in this show because that's what everyone's doing. And I think we have some polls later on in the show that we'll lend some credibility to, that mainstream media is not telling you about. And one of them just happens to be one of their polls, which they're not going to want to report on. That much I can guarantee you. Now, the Cubbies last night, if you're a baseball fan, the Cubbies gave us the two best words in sports. Game 7. Game 7. If the Indians choke and they lose 3 in a row, who's cursed now? I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's going to be, you know what? It is a good way to take your mind off of politics a little bit. Maybe tonight. And this, you won't see any big drops, whether it be a bombshell out of the Trump camp or a bombshell out of the Clinton camp. You probably won't see it today. Number one, because of Game 7. They know people are going to be having their attention diverted. It will be a highly watched game. This World Series has been very highly watched, getting great ratings, which to me a little surprising, a Midwestern World Series, but hey, listen, whatever. Congratulations to both teams. You're going to see it tomorrow, and they're each waiting for the other camp to act first. That's what they're waiting for. They want to be the one that drops their bombshell second, so it takes over the news cycle. Because it's going to be a struggle. Who gets to carry the news cycle all weekend long? Because all weekend, even stations that haven't been focusing on the election, who knows, Cartoon Network could be doing election coverage all weekend. It's all anyone's going to be talking about. It's going to be the lead. It's going to be in B block and C block on every single show. So they want to make sure they dominate the airtime in a way where they can denigrate their opponent. That's kind of what this has turned into. It's not so much, look at me, I'm going to do great things. It's don't elect that other person. Now, I give Trump credit. He's been doing a little better at staying on message. And is it too little, too late? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Hillary Clinton, she's getting foul, she's getting nasty, and she's down in the gutter again. She's got Alicia Machado out there introducing her. She's out there calling Trump supporters divisive and dangerous. And now mainstream media is picking apart this letter, this endorsement letter from the KKK. You had a guy on MSNBC last night, Lawrence O'Donnell, the host, says that millions of Trump supporters represent the views of the KKK. I mean, it's getting really, really bad. This is all in an effort to suppress your vote. And it's all coming from the Democrat side. That's where it comes from. They're the ones that want to suppress the vote. Well, as long as you're, not voting for them, of course. In which case, they want you to go out in droves. They'll drive you there. They'll even write your name down on a ballot if you died 3 or 4 years ago or moved. Project Veritas showed us that, and we've known that for a long time. I'm concerned about the Philadelphia area. That does concern me. You had a couple years in a row where Mitt Romney or John McCain didn't get one vote in like 50 districts around Philadelphia, which is a little silly because you have these poll watchers, right? When you go in there and they sign your name up and whatever. Usually you have one from each side for each district. You have one Democrat and one Republican, and they represent that district, and they're watching the poll. Generally, they're about 230 years old, but regardless, they're still alive. And you can't tell me that they're not going in and voting. If you go into a district that has 7 or 8 people sitting there, 3 or 4 of them are Republicans. You can assume that at least 1 or 2 of them will cast a ballot for the Republican candidate. So obvious voter fraud there. And then you had the intimidation with the new Black Panther Party in 2012, which the DOJ dropped those charges. They're pretty good at that. They're pretty good at being a political organization. They've really turned into like the KGB. That's what the Gestapo. That's what they've turned into, the DOJ. They are playing politics with this election and then getting mad at someone like James Comey saying he's playing politics. If anybody has violated the Hatch Act, it's Loretta Lynch and the DOJ. That's who's violated the Hatch Act, not James Comey. He said to Congress in September, if I have anything else for you regarding this investigation, I will let you know. And what did he do? He let you know. Oh, the letter's vague. It doesn't say anything. They don't want it to say anything. Do you think there's anything good in those emails? Do you think the FBI agents in New York would have said, hey, listen, there's lots of emails about yoga here. Maybe we should reopen this? No. And they know that. But they also know they can't release information during an ongoing investigation. That's policing 101. How many times in the local news you see something happens, right? And they try to get a comment from the cops. And they go, oh, we have no comment, ongoing investigation. Maybe you have to watch Law and Order to find that out. But either way, they can't do it. They can't do it. I just looked down at my phone and I saw, this is breaking news here. Breaking news. Anthony Weiner has checked himself into a cyber sex anonymous class or something. This is from the New York Post. I just looked down to see how much time we had left in the segment, and I see that pop up, so that distracted me. But I guess it's topical with what we're talking about. It was his computer shared with Uma Abedin, right? She's going to be in big trouble. There could be 1,000 counts on her, 1,000 counts of espionage or mishandling classified information or destroying or perjury or obstruction. There's a million charges. I think, does Rudy Giuliani have like 16 or 18 different charges you could put on each one of those emails? But she didn't know how they got there. Maybe Anthony Weiner put them there. Maybe he set this whole thing up. You're going to hear the excuses out the wazoo from these people. There's no accountability. Democrats, liberals, progressive, they don't like accountability. It's not in their DNA. They refuse to do it. All right, when we come back, I'm going to get you up to speed on the shootings in Iowa, and we have a lot more to get to, guys. Hang in there.
Experience a luxury boutique hotel escape in the heart of Laguna Beach, California, with the finest art gallery, shopping, dining, and nightlife just steps from your door. The heart of Laguna Beach, the edge of the sea. It's the Inn at Laguna Beach. Enjoy our comfortable rooms, blending the style of a timeless beach bungalow with the modern comforts of today. 70 newly appointed guest rooms and suites await you at the Inn at Laguna Beach. Then, relax at the rooftop bar, where you'll indulge in breathtaking views of the ocean. For dining, you'll find libations and local cuisine on the California coastline, including dining at the legendary Las Brisas, a Southern California landmark. The Inn at Laguna Beach, footsteps from room to village to sea, located in the heart of Laguna Beach. The Inn is within walking distance of all that Laguna Beach has to offer. No car required. The Inn at Laguna Beach, 211 North Coast Highway in Laguna Beach, California. Call 800-544-4479 or visit innatlagunabeach.com.
Hi, this is Fred Dreyer. You know, I've tackled a few roles in my time on the football field, in movies and television, and right here behind the broadcast microphone. Today, I've taken on a new role to tell you about the local experts at Solar Optimum. Solar Optimum is California's leading provider of high-quality, affordable solar energy. And now they're offering a special deal you won't want to miss. So listen up. Through October 31st, Solar Optimum is offering a complete solar energy system with no money down and no monthly payments during the first year of ownership. And after the first year, payments are a low $76. Plus, not a single penny goes toward upfront costs. Best of all, you own the system. How great is that? Call 818-745-1489 today to get in on this offer. That's 818-745-1489.
Monthly payment available on approved credit. Complete details available at solaroptimum.com. California license number 972228.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618. 9618.
All right, welcome back to the show. You know, during that break, I must have gotten 5 notifications from the MLB and ESPN apps that there's a baseball game tonight. How many notifications do they need to send me? It's crazy. I must get 200 a day. I get it. There's a baseball game. I understand. And it's like, oh, here's video of Jake Arrieta putting his socks on. Like, who cares? Who cares? Play the game. Play the game. I don't need to be told. I have a remote control. I know there's a game. It's crazy. I mean, it makes you want to, like, uninstall the apps, but I just can't. I want to, but I can't. All right. This morning, terrible. These 2 Iowa police officers shot and killed ambush style while sitting in their police cruisers, one at about 1:06 local time. That was an Urbandale police officer, and about 20 minutes later, a Des Moines officer, about 2 miles apart. 2 miles apart, they identified the suspect as this Scott Michael Green. They gave us all of his information. He was about 180 pounds. He had a Ford F-150. We got license plate number. He's 5'11". And then we heard, I guess a couple hours ago now, that they had him in custody. They said, do not apprehend. See him, just call the police, armed and dangerous, the whole thing. There's 2 sad things about this. The first one is that this is the society we now live in. We live in a society where the DOJ, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, they have painted a target on the back of police officers. And you don't need to look any further than Iowa here, or New York City, where the 2 NYPD cops were shot while sitting in their cruiser, or the 5 Dallas police officers slaughtered by a sniper during the BLM protest. It's a culture where it's almost like the person who commits this crime feels they will be elevated to some status. We've come to the point in our country where police officers, for the most part, and in a lot of circles, are not looked at in a favorable light, and that's sad. It's really sad. And you know what? It's happened with the military, too. And it happened with the military back with Vietnam and the whole thing. I understand that. And those people have grown up, but they haven't, grown smart yet. They're still stupid, and they don't like our military. And they're the same people that don't like our cops. A lot of these people don't understand what it takes to go to work in the morning and not know if you're coming back. Your family not know if you're coming back. Your children, your spouse, your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your neighbors, your pastor, your preacher, your priest, your rabbi. Nobody knows if you're coming back. Because nothing that happens throughout the course of the day is routine. These guys were just sitting there. Maybe they were on break. Maybe they were driving somewhere. And all of a sudden, that's it. That's the end of their life. They cease to exist. And hundreds and thousands of people will be torn up about it, and their lives will be forever changed. Now, you can't entrust these sanctimonious progressives, liberals, globalists to understand that. They just don't get it because they don't know what it means to have to swear that you will give your life to protect somebody else. They have no idea what that means. They don't have the first clue because they want. They don't want to give. Their idea of giving, this is their idea of giving up their freedom. Their idea is to sit down, arm in arm, around a tree and have a cop arrest them for a disorderly conduct or obstruction or whatever it might be. And they get released 3 hours later and they can say, yeah, I went to jail for a cause. I went to jail for a cause. These people give their lives for a greater cause. They give their lives willfully for yours, irrespective of what your political bent is, of what your skin color is, what religion you practice. These people have to be and should be revered, but they're not. The left hates them, because they have control that they don't have. They want that control. Because if someone like Hillary Clinton breaks the law, they can arrest them. They can take their freedom away. But they don't like that because they think they're better than you. I mean, they want your vote, but they're better than you. The worst part about this, besides the 2 deaths, were the way these liberals were cheering when they saw it was a white man that was the suspect. Cheering. All over Twitter, all over Facebook, all over everywhere. They loved the fact that it was a white man. They don't care that 2 other men's lives ended that day. They didn't care. They were just happy it wasn't a Muslim or it wasn't an African American. That's all they care about. They're not selfless, they're selfish. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about Hillary Clinton and what she's telling her dozens of supporters. Hang in there, guys. All right, guys, while I have your attention, I want to tell you about my friends at Liberty HealthShare. And just so you know, the healthcare exchange is just around the corner, so listen up. If you're running into that dilemma of trying to decide whether to pay your bills or pay your healthcare, Liberty HealthShare might have that answer for you. Or let's just say you're somebody who's enrolled in something else and you're just not happy. Well, guess what? Liberty has the answer for you as well. See, Liberty members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on people for not having healthcare insurance, thus giving you freedom from insurance. It's a beautiful thing. Liberty HealthShare members are also able to use any doctor or hospital across the country, and they're able to do this based on their members' commonly held principles and values. Liberty HealthShare has memberships for individuals, couples, families, offering a huge variety of options to suit any medical need. So if you want more information about how to join, give them a call at 855-585-4237
or visit libertyhealthshare.org online. Do it today.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resorts, Kaanapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool. Indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kvhmaui.com. That's kvhmaui.com. Aloha.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
This is Larry Minetti for Herpanicin, the acne medication that really works from the inside out. If you suffer from skin problems, Herpanicin is the most unique and effective formula on the market. It cleans your skin from the inside out and gets rid of all kinds of acne and blemishes on your back, neck, and your face. It works so well, you can look and feel like a movie star. Herpanicin, a natural supplement created by Dr. Wayne Diamond. You take a pill, and that's it. I've been on these supplements, and they really work, folks. Don't be afraid to look in the mirror ever again. Get Herpanicin today. Call 888-467-4200. That's 888-467-4200. Herpanicin, it really works. 888-467-4200. Tell them Larry Minetti told you to call and look and feel like $1 million with Herpanicin. Call 888-467-4200.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I guess about 6 until the top of the hour. You can follow me on Twitter at Rhino, R-Y-N-O, on air. On Facebook, you can check us out there, facebook.com/The Rhino Report. And the old episodes, they're all listed on your favorite podcasting site, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podbean, or iHeartRadio, or a culmination of all of them on rhinoreport.com. Enough shameless plugging of my website and radio show. We're making radio great again. That's what we're doing. We're making radio great again. So Hillary Clinton is doing this I mean, can you even call them rallies? There's nobody there. It's like crickets. There's dozens of people. Where these polling numbers are coming from, I have no idea. And I have a theory about that we'll get to in a minute. She's in Fort Lauderdale, which is this area of Florida. For those of you who are in that area, know this is a very heavily Democrat area. It's the area which Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the representative, and so very heavy Democrat. That is New York South, right in that area. That's what they call it, New York South. And she's interrupted by a protester screaming that Bill Clinton is a rapist, and this has become sort of commonplace. In fact, if you go to rhinoreport.com and you go to the Rhino Rants, we have a video there on the Rhino Rants page. At a union rally where it happens, and the lady taking the video at the end of the whole protest, she turns the camera on herself and she goes, well, he is. It's pretty funny. But that's there. And then this happens more often than mainstream media would care to show you. And then she gets kind of into a tirade, this Hillary Clinton fellow or lady. She says, I'm sick and tired of the negative, dark, decisive, dangerous vision and behavior of people who support Donald Trump. Well, I thought we were deplorable. Now we're dark. We're decisive. I mean, is she referring to skin color? Is she doing that here? I mean, if that was Donald Trump that said that, forget about it. They'd say he's talking about dark people. We're dark, divisive, dangerous. We don't behave well. You know why? Because we're not good followers. We're not good lemmings. We're not easy to control. We like our guns, which prevent a large amount of control. And then she tells her supporters, this is rich, she tells them that if you know somebody who's voting or thinking of voting for Donald Trump, I want you to stage an intervention. This is what Hillary Clinton says to her supporters, stage an intervention. I thought that was called brainwashing. I guess they scrubbed that from the talking points and now they can say intervention instead. But I thought I was deplorable and irredeemable. Now you can intervene and I'll pay? You can tell me about how we shouldn't have guns? How we should all pay for free tuition for everybody? How a $15 minimum wage somehow makes sense when it never will. Every economist who has a degree says it will never make sense. Maybe they can tell us all about the two-tier justice system, where you have politicians and elites on top and then the rest of us. Maybe they can tell us all about how a grown man should be able to use the little girl's room. Or maybe they can tell us all about how the Affordable Care Act was designed to expand into single payer. It was meant to explode. And people in Arizona, New Mexico, seeing 90% plus increases in their premiums. New York, 80%. It's crazy. Is that what they're going to brainwash me with? I mean, intervene me with? It's never going to work. But that's what she's resorting to. She's resorting to telling people to hold interventions. Maybe it'll be on A&E. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, we all heard about Donna Brazile. She's now separated from CNN. They say she resigned. Who cares? That's all a matter of semantics. She's not there anymore. And, of course, this is because, the WikiLeaks, and she gave out the answers and questions to two debates. One was a town hall. One was a debate. Bernie Sanders and his supporters, how they can even be on board here. I mean, they got smacked across the face. And why they are not out in full force is beyond me. Because they were a very vocal bunch. Very vocal. I want to say during the primaries, the amount of arguments I personally had on Twitter were with Bernie supporters, not Hillary supporters, not Rubio or Jeb Bush. Well, they don't really have any supporters, but it was Bernie people. They were up and down me. Now they're very quiet. Very quiet. Well, this Leanne Walters, she's the one who asked the question in Flint, Michigan. She had the rash, and she asked the question to Hillary Clinton about what she was going to do. This was the question that Hillary Clinton, now we know, had in advance of that town hall. She says Hillary should be disqualified because she had an advantage and shouldn't have had. And that's somebody who may have been voting for Hillary before, but people are seeing the light. She's a liar. She's a criminal. She'll do whatever, say whatever, just to maintain power so she can sell the White House to the highest bidder and every bidder below that. It's crazy how these Bernie supporters, what happened to them? Did they retreat to the basements? Where are they? Where are they? They were ready to scale the fences at the DNC. They walked out of the convention. A lot of people walked out. Where are they now? Did they get jobs? Could they not afford their internet connections? Where are they? They can't be supporting her. Can't be. Now, CNN, like I said, has parted ways with Donna Brazile. She eventually will have to step down as the interim DNC chairwoman. She's going to have to. Not going to do it now because it shakes things up, and that's never going to happen. It'll happen maybe in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever it is. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts what's happening here. Now, the media is, they're scared right now, which is why they're doing all this, why you have MSNBC saying that the Klan represents the views of millions of Donald Trump supporters. They're scared because they're scared about what's coming next. And they were a little iffy on how to cover the James Comey letter last Friday. In fact, it took a few of them a few hours to figure out how they were going to, spin that into a new narrative. Well, we have some numbers here from the Media Research Center, from ABC, NBC, and CBS. There was a 3-to-1 ratio of these analysts and reporters taking the position that Comey shouldn't have done that, over the position that Hillary Clinton shouldn't have had an unsecured server in her basement. They're scared. They have every right to be. CNN, MSNBC, these places could be broadcasting static pretty soon. No viewers. No viewers. All right, we come back. We'll do some polls and look at the electoral map. It's starting to get a little interesting. Hang in there, guys.
This Multiview Special Report is brought to you by Kraft Heinz. When we think of fall, we think of indulging in rich and flavorful meals, sides, drinks, and desserts. But as the temperatures drop and the holidays approach, our busy calendars begin filling up, leaving us with little time to think about preparing dinner. The solution? Stovetop Stuffing Mix. Stovetop Stuffing Mix has been America's favorite stuffing for more than 40 years. If it's not stovetop, it's not Thanksgiving. For stress-free stuffing, choose Stovetop Stuffing Mix. Each box contains everything you need, including vegetables, seasonings, herbs, spices, and breadcrumbs packed with flavor. Unlike traditional stuffing, Stovetop Stuffing Mix can be prepared on the stove, in a pot, or even in the microwave. It's perfect for sharing with the whole family. Talk about your perfect side. It's ready for the table in just 5 minutes. For more information, tips, and recipes, visit craftrecipes.com/stovetop.
Experience a luxury boutique hotel escape in the heart of Laguna Beach, California. With the finest art gallery, shopping, dining, and nightlife just steps from your door. The heart of Laguna Beach, the edge of the sea. It's the Inn at Laguna Beach. Enjoy our comfortable rooms, blending the style of a timeless beach bungalow with the modern comforts of today. 70 newly appointed guest rooms and suites await you at the Inn at Laguna Beach. Then, relax at the rooftop bar, where you'll indulge in breathtaking views of the ocean. For dining, you'll find libations and local cuisine on the California coastline, including dining at the legendary Las Brisas, a Southern California landmark. The Inn at Laguna Beach. Footsteps from room to village to sea, located in the heart of Laguna Beach. The Inn is within walking distance of all that Laguna Beach has to offer. No car required. The Inn at Laguna Beach, 211 North Coast Highway in Laguna Beach, California. Call 800-544-4479 or visit inatlaguna.beach.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. See, this study that we just kind of left hanging at the end of the last segment by Media Research Center, they studied ABC, NBC, and CBS, all their nightly newscasts over the weekend. There were 88 times where the analyst, the anchor, the reporter, whoever it was, took a position against James Comey and his decision to send that letter to Congress. And there were 31 times where they took a position against Clinton, Hillary Clinton. That's a 3-to-1 ratio, almost 3-to-1 ratio. So you can see who they're in the tank for. And there's a lot of op-ed stuff here. Washington Post said that, this never should have happened. The New York Times, they blame Comey for this reinterruption. They cannot handle the fact that their candidate, their chosen one, is a criminal. You can't say it enough ways. She's a criminal, skirting the line between freedom and incarceration every single day of her life for the last 30 years. And mainstream media has chosen to hitch their wagon to this horse. And that wagon, may not be have wheels too much longer. What if Donald? I mean, just let's. I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but let's hypothesize for a second. Let's say Trump loses, right? There have been a lot of rumors about Trump TV. A lot of rumors. And you have Fox News now taking a little swing to the middle and to the left. The Murdoch boys are big liberals. We've heard rumors that CNN's, Jeff Zucker, might take over Roger Ailes' old spot. There's going to be an opening. There's going to be an opening for alt-right or conservative media. I don't know if Newsmax can fill that. I don't know what their distribution looks like. But Donald Trump has the money to do it. And 40 million deplorables could be tuning in. And that would be twice what Fox News gets. All right, so we have 6 days to go. And this is getting, every poll you see, Hillary's up here and Donald Trump's up here. And even out of the same state, we're seeing swings of sometimes 10 or 15 points. And it got me to thinking, polls are really an experiment. And every experiment is no better than the control you use in that experiment. So in these cases, your polls, your control is your model. You have an already determined model. Whether it's a 2008 model or a Dem plus 10 or a 2004, whatever model you want to use, that's your control. Everything else is just information you're putting into it. Right? I want to tell you a quick story about controls and how these polls operate in a vacuum. Engineers operate in a vacuum too. Everything they do when they design a building or design any kind of mechanical infrastructure, it's all happens in a vacuum. I was called to a building in New York City about 5 years ago. They had an air conditioner in the basement that had the intake and the exhaust, both exhausting and intaking air from an outside stairwell. Now, they couldn't figure out why the air conditioner kept shutting off. Well, it's called short cycling. What was happening, some of you will know this, what was happening was the intake was sucking in the hot air from the exhaust. And the unit gets too hot, and before total failure, it just shuts off. Right? That's to prevent any long-term damage to the unit. However, if that happens enough times, you can damage the unit. So we looked at it. We determined that there was an issue with the way it was exhausting warm air and sucking in fresh air in this outside stairwell. What we did then was we called an engineer to try to figure out how to fix this. We couldn't move the unit. We couldn't do any of that. There was no room to move it. They didn't want to buy a new unit. That building happened to have what's called chilled water. Now, in New York City, there's a chiller on the roof of many buildings. And now you just don't get access to that chilled water if you rent a space. You have to rent that chilled water. And the chilled water gets sent to your fan coils or your evaporators, and that's how you get air conditioning. Well, this company did not want to do that. They wanted their own units. So we called the engineer. And the engineer says, okay, I have a plan. I'll send you the plan. A couple days later, I get the plan. And I look at it and I go, not going to work. It's not going to work. What the engineer wanted to do was he wanted to put louvers on the outside exhaust to exhaust the air up, thus not being sucked back in to the unit's intake. I said it's never going to work. Well, lo and behold, the engineer convinced the building owner it was going to work. They installed them. The next time it rained, guess what? The machine was shot. It worked in theory. It exhausts the air up. However, when it rains, those louvers act as a funnel. And that water funneled right down, right into the machine, killing the machine dead. That's an example of how engineers work in a vacuum. They don't take outside things into consideration. And that's what's happening with these polls. A lot of these polling companies, they're just working off a model. Their control may be skewed, which is why we're seeing so much leeway and so many different ways you can see the same poll. I mean, we have polls here out of Pennsylvania. One shows Hillary up 11, one shows Donald up 3. And here we are. We're 6 days away from the election. So don't put all your eggs into one basket when it comes to polling. Some places now are starting to use a little bit more of a Republican turnout model. This is from the Auto Alliance Association. Their track record is dicey, but still, with a strong Democrat turnout model in Pennsylvania, Clinton wins by 1. With an even turnout model, Trump wins by 1. With a strong GOP turnout, similar to 2014, Trump wins by 6. I had predicted from the beginning, I believe this year we will see a stronger Republican turnout than 2014. And I think we're seeing in some of Hillary Clinton's numbers, her unfavorables, very high. Her trustworthiness, 38%. Trustworthiness, 38%. That's pretty low. And the people who are all juiced up, her numbers are going down too there. The voter excitement. He's winning by 5 and 10% in every poll. So be careful the polls you look at. We have a couple of national ones here to give you a gauge. I got a couple of state ones. We'll do them real quick in the next segment. Plus, we'll get to the Rhino trivia question for the day. Hang in there, guys.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Hey there, did you know that with a bachelor's degree, on average, you could make almost twice as much over a lifetime than a person with just a high school diploma? It's true. According to the 2012 U.S. Census Bureau, college grads with a bachelor's degree make almost twice as much as high school grads. Now, going back to school is easier than ever at Independence University. Log on and complete coursework from the park, or the beach, or even your couch watching the kids. And Independence University gives you the tools, a free tablet and laptop for undergrad students to use and keep when they graduate. That's right. Get a laptop so you can go to college from anywhere. Take the first step to a new career in business, information technology, healthcare, or graphic arts. Call to find the online degree program that's right for you, and you could be on your way to increasing your earning potential.
800-989-1361. 800-989-1361. That's 800-989-1361.
All right, guys, while I have your attention, I want to tell you about my friends at Liberty HealthShare. And just so you know, the healthcare exchange is just around the corner, so listen up. If you're running into that dilemma of trying to decide whether to pay your bills or pay your healthcare, Liberty HealthShare might have that answer for you. Or let's just say you're somebody who's enrolled in something else and you're just not happy. Well, guess what? Liberty has the answer for you as well. See, Liberty members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on people for not having health care insurance, thus giving you freedom from insurance. It's a beautiful thing. Liberty HealthShare members are also able to use any doctor or hospital across the country, and they're able to do this based on their members' commonly held principles and values. Liberty HealthShare has memberships for individuals, couples, families, offering a huge variety of options to suit any medical need. So if you want more information about how to join, give them a call at 855-585-4237 or visit libertyhealthshare.org online. Do it today. So you've missed the healthcare deadline and don't have any form of healthcare? Liberty HealthShare has the answer. Liberty HealthShare offers an affordable healthcare option that allows Americans to enroll any time of the year. For those of you who have already enrolled but just aren't satisfied with what you've chosen, there's still hope. Liberty HealthShare allows Americans to control, manage, and direct their health care, yet still be in good standing with the Affordable Care Act. Members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on individuals for not having health care insurance, thus giving you freedom from insurance. Liberty HealthShare empowers their members by giving them the ability to choose any doctor or hospital across the nation. Memberships are for individuals, couples, and families, offering a variety of options to best suit an individual's medical needs. If you're a freedom-loving American like myself, looking for contract-free health care, then this is for you. For more information on how to enroll at any time of the year, call 855-585-4237 or visit libertyhealthshare.org to request a free estimate. Do it today.
This is Jeff Carlisi from the Band 38 Special. Let us never forget that police lives matter.
You're listening to the Rhino Report, always right, on the RWB Network.
The Republicans want to repeal it. You know, they actually, with a straight face, say that the Great Recession was caused by too much regulation on Wall Street. They actually say that. You know, I remember when, I've supported my husband through all of his races in Arkansas. And one of my favorite political ads of all time was a radio ad, rural Arkansas, where the announcer said, wouldn't it be great if somebody running for office said something, we could have an immediate reaction as to whether it was true or not? Well, we've trained this dog. And the dog, if it's not true, he's going to bark. And then the dog was barking on the radio. And so, people were like barking at each other for days after that. I'm trying to figure out how we can do that with the Republicans. We need to get that dog and follow them around, and every time they say these things, like, the Great Recession was caused by too much regulation. I think we could cut right through a lot of their their claims.
All right, guys, welcome back to this last segment of today's Rhino Report. It's Hump Day. It's Hump Day. It's Wednesday. We're 6 days out. We got some national polling here. Let's go over it really quickly. LA Times. LA Times has sort of a funky sampling. It's a self-weighted poll. People put a percentage in, their likelihood that they'll vote for either candidate, not straight yes or no. And it's sort of a rolling average. Now, Donald Trump is seeing a tie for a high here. All right, he's at 47.8%. He is tied with his highest ever, which was about 2 months ago. Hillary Clinton is bordering on her lowest in this poll. She's at 42.4%. That's her lowest since September 30th. So since October 26th, Trump has picked up 3 points in this poll, and Hillary has dropped 2. She continues in this poll to bounce off her resistance line of about 43. Continues to bounce off that. In the 18 to 34 category, Trump wins every age bracket here. By education, he wins high school or less by 15. Some college, he wins that by 12. By income, in the middle income, he wins that by 16. More than 75 a year, he wins that by 11. He has the white vote by 26 in this poll. Female, he's closing the gap here. She wins females by 8. That's a lot less than we've seen in the past, and he's beating men by 20. He wins men by 20, and that's actually separating. That 28-point gender gap here. The perception here is actually closing rather quickly. On October 25th, he was trailing by 21 points in the Who Do You Think Would Win poll. Not who you're going to vote for, who you think is going to win. He was trailing by 21. Now he's trailing by 13. Can he close that gap enough so people think he's going to win and go out and vote for him? I don't know. But the perception is closing among every single demographic in this poll. So that's your LA Times poll. Again, Trump is plus 4 in this poll. Plus 6. I'm sorry, plus 6. I can add, I promise. IBD, TIPP, this is a tie. Trump is up nominally, 0.4. 44 for Clinton, 44.4 for Trump. Notables in this one, he wins the Midwest by 1 point. The South, he wins here by 7%. He wins the 45 to 65 age group. Now, that's pretty standard. He wins men 51-36. He loses females almost by the same margin. Income, he does pretty well across the board. Party, 88% of Republican support. That's pretty good for him. She has 87% of Democrat support, but he has a +3 in the crossover. 6% of Democrats voting for Trump, while only 3% of Republicans are voting for Hillary. They're tied with if you are an investor, would you vote for Trump or Clinton? They're tied there. They are tied in the suburban category, which is very strange. Tied here, and he wins the rural communities 57-32. Let's see. Parents and non-parents, pretty equal, whether they're voting for Trump or Clinton. No big gaps there. He's winning white men in this poll 59-31. Married women, they're close. He's actually up by 1 with married women. Single women not doing so hot. Let's see. White women, he's up by 8. He was hurting in these areas just a couple of weeks ago, so that's a good for him. And the intensity of support, Trump is winning. 70% of his supporters strongly support him. 65% support Hillary. All right. Let's get to today's trivia question before we run out of time, which the music generally indicates we are. So here's the question for today. From which of our 50 states do you think this show receives the most downloads from? So on all the different podcasting sites, not counting the live feed, all the different podcasting sites, which state is the biggest Rhino Report fan? It may surprise you, it may not surprise you. So keep it in the U.S. We do get a lot of downloads from Canada, the U.K., and Australia, but keep it in the U.S. All right, guys, email me the answer, rhino@rwbnetwork.com. Hope you had a good time today. A big thank you to all those serving our country at home and abroad, and a huge thank you to those in the law enforcement community. Please be safe. Thank you for everything you do. God bless all of you. God bless all of your families. Have a great, great day, everybody. And until tomorrow, I'm the Rhino, and I'm out.
You're listening to Sideshow Network.
Hey, America, you have found it. It is the Loftus Party. We're getting way up there in episodes, Andrew Apple. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. If the math serves me correctly, this is episode number 40.
Wow. I'm back in Los Angeles, just so all the stalkers know where I am on the planet. Crazy flight home yesterday. They're not crazy, but whatever. Well, you know what? I'm going to write this down for a Michaeltopia. In Michaeltopia, I'll do it right at the top of the show. If you know you're going to be on a 6-hour flight from New York to Los Angeles, take a shower. Take a shower before the flight. This dude in front of me, this hipster doofus with the big beard and the man bun and the whole nine, just stunk like a homeless person, like bathing in his own urine. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable that guy would leave his home and be like, yeah, I'm ready to travel. And his clothes were clean. His clothes were clean, so it was just like an obvious choice, ooh, my man musk. I'm gonna get so many hot babes with my man musk. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. And I know I sound like an elitist snob like that, but hey, I'm sitting right behind you, guy. I'm sitting right behind you.
You know, people long for this time in America that they don't feel exists anymore. And a lot of that time, I think, is best represented. Do you remember that old Coke commercial where they were all holding hands and going, I'd like to teach the world to sing?
Yeah.
It's like we kind of gotten away from that, which I think is sad and unfortunate. It's like I don't know how much we worry about the fellow man these days, which we can't just do everything for the Instagram likes. We can do some things for the Instagram likes, and I guess that would be my Michaeltopia. We need to do things for reasons other than likes and favorites and retweets.
Yeah, and I would encourage everybody to do that. There's I don't know what this quote is from, but it might be the Bible. Might be a Bible quote I'm about to throw out there. Faith without actions is dead. So, get out there and do a little something. And you know, here's the other thing. When you go out there and you help other people and you just do something, you're gonna feel a lot better. I do stuff like that very selfishly. Cause it's horrible, but I'm not kidding, cause I feel better. And I'm so, I'm worried about me. So you help a homeless person or you help your fellow man out and you're like, yeah, that was pretty awesome. And it's a great way to take your mind off your own problems. That's for real. I'm totally that guy that, man, there but for the grace of God go I. Just, you see some of the stuff in the world and yeah, go out there and help everybody. Please, for the love of God, go out there and help. And we need help on the flip side. That's what we need. We have a very ambitious schedule coming up this week. This is like the calm before the storm. If I think about all the stuff we're trying to get done, with all the new episodes and I wanted to film them on a Thursday, but now we have to do it on a Tuesday. It's just crazy. But man, I love it that we're gonna try to pull it off. We're gonna try to pull it off. And then we've got, poor Stacy Lennox. I don't want to get into her personal stuff, but, send some warm wishes Stacy's way. She's got a serious, owie kabowie going on. She's not feeling red hot. So we gotta, thoughts and prayers.
Tweet her at Scotsfire. Maybe, you know what would actually make her feel better? Retweet some of the stuff she's been posting on the loftusparty.com because she has been working her tail off on that website.
Yes. Support, send your support to Scott's Fire. That's fire with a Y and an E, I believe.
Yes.
But, send your support for like third party candidates.
You know what? When you're partying with the Loftus Party, you know what? We can at least appreciate those who appreciate Evan McMullen.
Yes, that turd burger. We had John Favreau on the podcast. We ran into him at Politicon. He's got a crazy successful podcast.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got that, banging at 1420 or something.
I think it's actually keeping it 1600, but we can call it banging at 1420.
Anyway, he tweeted out a couple days ago. He's like, boy, I voted early. Felt good. And then I tweeted back to him, oops. Cause that was before the FBI reopened their case. I love this election, Andrew. I don't want it to be over. We should push it for a year. I'm not even kidding.
You know, you are amazing to me because you might be the only person in this country who feels that way. You know,
I don't think I am. I think reporters feel it too, and that's the other thing. Listen, reporters of the world, quote unquote journalists, stop acting like you want this thing to be over. They're all doing it now. They're like, can you believe it? 9 days left. Ugh, come on already. And like, no. Don't lie to me. You've never felt so important in your life. Those reporters, they're hanging on to this election like a crackhead hangs on to that little hunk of Ziploc bag in his homemade pipe. Just, you know you want it to keep going. Admit it.
To be fair, this has been a very different news cycle than we've seen in a lot of previous elections. You know, I mean, think about the sensationalism and just the over-the-top soap opera-like stories that we've seen coming from both sides of this campaign. And I can't compare it to anything else that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Can you?
No, not in my lifetime. Definitely not in my lifetime. But I have a little hobby. History is like my hobby. And if you go back to the early elections, you know, like I'm talking about the second and third elections that this country ever had.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot like that. I mean, they were slinging some big time mud. And that's like, you know, but people would duel with pistols, you know, back then. They would literally kill each other. But this is one for the ages. And I'm glad I've been paying attention. I'm glad I've been following this one. I can't imagine. I can imagine it. I have a pretty good imagination. But there's so many people out there who are just like, I don't know. Same old. Like I had this guy who picked me up and gave me a ride to the airport, and he brought up politics, and I just kind of laid low. I just wanted to see where he was at. And he's like, man, this election, it's always bad. And I'm like, no, dude. It's never this bad. This is not a laissez-faire kind of election. This is like King Kong versus Godzilla. This is Mothra. This is huge. And then of course it sounds like I'm doing Donald Trump, but I'm not. But you have to, if you can't celebrate this one, you need to just get out of, reporting on politics.
Yeah, because I don't know, if I can take another election quite like this.
It's like a Rocky movie. It's like a Rocky movie. You know, you think Hillary has the knockout blow with the Billy Bush tapes, and then, oh, he's on the ropes and it's over, and then boom! Here comes Jim Comey with a roundhouse out of nowhere. What? It's crazy. It is crazy. So let's talk about the Comey thing. I'll let you go first, and then I'll tell you my thoughts, and I think you'll be surprised, America. I think you'll be surprised.
Okay, so the short version is, through a separate investigation, where we believe they were looking into, Anthony Weiner's emails, James Comey found something, and we don't know what it is, but he found something that was related to the Hillary Clinton emails. So he sent a letter to Congress saying, hey, I'm going to be taking another look at the Clinton emails based on this new information. I don't know if there's anything there, but I thought I should let you know. And the world exploded.
That is my assessment as well. All these people who are like, ooh, bombshell. Oh, he must have found something. I'm like, slow your roll. I think they were looking at some emails from Huma to Hillary, and then he just said, whoa, point of order. I don't want anybody to accuse me of not playing by the rules. I've discovered possibly new evidence. I have to look into it. So here's a letter that says, hey, I'm taking another peek. I think that is the extent of it.
This has caused everyone to lose their dang minds.
Yes. Now, once again, the thing that I find fascinating, it's like, remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about the dude in the red sweater at the second debate?
Ken Bone.
Ken Bone. Just like Ken Bone was the thing that America latched on to, it's bizarre. Well, it's not bizarre to me, but like America has latched on to this. Like the way I felt people should have latched on to, she had a private server in her basement. Like that's really bad. Like that's really bad. But I guess you needed that double whammy of oops, hey, I found some possible new evidence and I'm going to look at it again. People are just freaking out about that. Which don't be disappointed in like 2 or 3 days when Comey's like, okay, we took a look at it and they were all duplicates. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's actually what most of the media is saying at the moment. They're expecting that to happen, which is what's surprising and what blows my mind is this seems to be the thing that has brought all sides of the media together in a way that we have not seen yet during this year. Like everyone kind of felt that's like, maybe this wasn't the best way to go about this. Rather than just going ahead and doing it, which is completely within his discretion, he decided to send this letter to Congress. And everyone seems to be questioning that aspect of it. Not that he's looking into the emails, but the fact that he took the time to send the letter to Congress.
I think he has to. I honestly think it's like a point of order thing. I think it's like, hey, Congress, you summoned me to talk to you about Hillary's private server and why I didn't press charges. He made a case. I think he made a horrible case. I think he should have pressed charges, but irregardless, whatever the correct English is, he didn't do it. All right. So with Congress breathing down your back and then new evidence comes up, I think you're compelled to. Like, hey, I don't want anybody to say I was a cheater, okay? I don't want anybody to claim I was in somebody's back pocket. So here's the official letter. I'm going to take a peek at this stuff.
That's actually where the question is right now, because they're not sure, was this a point of order or was the actual point of order that he shouldn't have made this public so close to the election?
Well, he had to. He couldn't look, if it looked at all like he was helping out, the Clinton campaign, it looks horrible. Now talk about shaking your faith in democracy. It always makes me laugh whenever, Trump is out on the campaign trail a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago and he's like, listen, I think it's rigged. And people are like, whoa, this is really, really dangerous for Donald Trump to question the democratic process, right? That's like, you don't do that, guy. You don't question the democratic process. And then when Comey is like, hey, I'm going to reopen the investigation, everybody's like, hey, Comey's messing with the democratic process. Whatever they accuse Trump of doing, it always comes back on the Democrats like threefold. It's hysterical. It's really quite funny.
Well, I do have to I guess dive a little deeper into that because I think that there is a difference between when James Comey says something versus when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton say something. Because at this point, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, they are in our homes every day, and people are die hard for everything that they say and do right now. And James Comey, he does not have that same sway with people. He is an appointed official who oversees security for this country, but when he stands up and makes an argument for or against the process and how it's being run, it's not going to resonate with people the way it does coming from the candidates, because the candidates are the ones that people are either excited or dismayed about.
Well, I think it resonates more. And you're kind of hoisted on your own petard, if you will, because when Comey didn't bring charges, and didn't, for whatever reason, he didn't call a grand jury, for whatever reason, and I didn't freak out about it then. And I love being on record. This is one one of the things I love about the Loftus Party podcast is that I'm on record for all this stuff. I didn't freak out about Comey back then when he didn't bring charges. But then the Democrats, and Nancy Pelosi and all the big high muckety mucks in the Democratic Party, they're like, obviously James Comey is a trusted official. He's above this kind of political, witch hunt. He's a good guy. He's like Socrates, and he's like Solomon. Solomon, rather. He is like, he is wise like Solomon, and he's smart like Socrates. So we should just thank our lucky stars we've got somebody good like him. And then a couple months later, he's like, we're reopening the investigation. And they're like, he's a jackhole of the highest order. He's a threat to our democracy. It's like, no, he's either, and that's why I think it kind of resonates, because both, like, just a couple of weeks ago, everybody on the left is like, well, that James Comey, he's a good guy, because he is above this kind of thing. He is above. And now it done bit them in the ass.
You know, this is where we learn from the logic of Batman. Because
I love it. I love it. Put it together. Put it together.
When you're the Dark Knight, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
There you go. There you go. Good one, man. Good one. Well, I'm waiting with bated breath. And it's so funny to me when Hillary's out there like, we demand, to know what he's got. The American people deserve to know. The American people deserve to know. And it's too funny, but that was exactly, what the congressional panel was saying to her a few months ago. Like, hey, give the emails. We demand. The American people deserve to know. And it's just, I just love it. It's just so, wonderfully, wonderfully delicious that everything she's saying now is exactly what, Trey Gowdy and the whole gang was saying a few months ago. And if she wants it to be out there, maybe she could ask, Huma Abedin what the emails were.
Huma Abedin has made some really bad decisions throughout this campaign as a whole. And she, if anyone coming out of the Clinton campaign, she is going to be the sacrificial lamb, because she is not going to be with this campaign moving forward. She has made way too many mistakes, and the Clintons, love them or hate them, they are always out for their own political survival. And they will cut ties with whoever they have to cut ties with in order to maintain that. And in this case, they will be cutting ties with Huma Abedin, because between the lightning rod that she's become and the fact that she's so closely associated with Anthony Weiner and everything he's done with his Carlos Danger codename, I cannot see a world in which Huma Abedin continues to have a political career in the White House.
I tell you what, and I go the exact opposite way. If I'm Hillary, I steer into the curve and say, look at this strong, successful, much maligned and persecuted single woman. She embodies everything that's great in this country. And, listen, I'm no fan of Huma Abedin. I really, I don't trust that lady. I don't trust her at all. I would be happy to see Uma go. Huma, babooma, skooma, dooma. But I think, that's another one I can't wait to see what happens. I think Huma's gonna be around for a long, long time.
Well, what we can say is that Clinton clearly has a lot of faith in her, to build on your point, because I don't know how or why they decided to let Anthony Weiner be a surrogate at any point for the Clinton campaign, but they had him out there. They sent him on Stephen Colbert to pimp Clinton, essentially. And
did they really?
They did, yeah.
They sent Anthony Weiner out to be on Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
And this is after the sexting stuff,
Yes.
the pictures.
Yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I was, a couple weeks ago, I was saying on the podcast, nobody circles the wagons in just complete denial of reality like the Democrats. Like, can you imagine if like Dennis Hastert was like asked to go out on the road for Donald Trump? Like, hey, we want to put you on Fallon tonight. And he's like, okay. Like, what? See, that's the kind of flawed thinking that like makes me really question the whole, Democratic Party. Wait, you know this guy's jacked up. He's got some issues. He's got some judgment, calls that he makes really bad. But you know what? I think he'd be a good surrogate for the campaign. It's nuts, I tell you. It's nuts.
It's hard. The same thing can be said about the other side. You know, I mean, Newt Gingrich, is a fantastic orator. You know, he was a great interview, but he has some skeletons in his closet too. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, Rudy Giuliani. He likes to scream a little too much at his current age, but you know, he is still America's mayor to so many people after what happened on 9/11. And you know, he's got some skeletons in the closet as well.
The one thing I'm learning about all this is that yes, they all do have skeletons in their closet. These are all like deeply flawed people. And it makes me think like, wow, how long can we keep this whole constitutional republic going? Like, where are the good people? There should be a boatload more good people in politics. Like, the more I learn about politics, I'm more like, yikes. You know, look who's running the ship. This is a little frightening. Would that be your takeaway as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the thing about it is that the people who are drawn to national politics are generally people who are after a certain type of power.
Yes.
And in general, the phrase absolute power corrupts absolutely applies here, because when you are seeking power, you're willing to blur the lines of morality at a certain point. I shouldn't speak for everyone, but there are people who pursue power at any cost. And
yep.
And politicians, unfortunately, in certain cases, are no different.
I could not agree with you more. I think absolute power does corrupt absolutely, and I always want to know who's watching the watchers. I'm seriously, like, morally, I'm down with that. And I think that's why it's weird. As soon as I like buckle down, I'm like, yep, term limits. We gotta do term limits. However, man, if you have some great guy in there, if you've got Jimmy Stewart in there, and he's just, a total Boy Scout and literally just wants the best interests of the country, I don't want to throw that dude out. You know, I don't want to throw out the good guys just because there's a couple of bad apples. I mean, we can get rid of the bad apples. Hopefully we can still get rid of the bad apples. Good Lord.
And even to build on that, you know, I mean, let's take your sandbox. Let's talk about comedy.
Yeah.
You've got young up-and-coming comedians who are really hot on the scene right now, and they sit down and they try to write their jokes, and then, now you're someone who's been doing stand-up for a lot longer than they have. So.
Yeah. I should do some on this show.
But your experience has value. You know, you've been doing this long enough and you've seen the game change and you know how to do the job well. And isn't there something to be said for having someone who knows how to do the job, whether that's comedy or politics?
Well, I tell you what, and I'm loving where this whole discussion is going, because, yes. Now here's what I know a lot about comedy because I've been doing it for a long time. And I'm not a huge student of the form, and I keep learning stuff all the time about comedy. However, because I've been making my living as a comedian for a lot of years now, I just know a lot more about comedy because I've been doing it. A couple years ago, a guy came up to me and he goes, I wrote this really funny joke about strip clubs and why I don't go to strip clubs. And I go, well, what is it? And he goes, going to a strip club is horrible. It's like going to a steakhouse and you're not allowed to eat the steak. And I go, oh, that's very funny. I go, that's a Seinfeld bit. Jerry Seinfeld did that bit like in 1990 or something like that. And the guy looks at me and he goes, I don't care. I'm new and I don't know that, so I'm going to do the joke, because in his mind he discovered it. I think that there is a generational thing, and it's at play with politics as well. Every couple generations, you need people who come in incredibly energized and incredibly naive about the process. Because like I was on Steel and Unger a couple weeks ago, and they're talking about infrastructure and how Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton both, they're going to raise more money for infrastructure. And I'm like, whoa, what are my tax dollars going for now? Like, isn't that the original intent of taxes is to fix the roads and fix the bridges? Like, I think that once you've been in politics for so long, you start getting caught up in the minutia of that and the minutia of this, and I think we've lost our way a bit as a country because I think our tax dollars are being wasted. They're just being thrown away. There's gasoline taxes, there's soda taxes, there's cigarette taxes, there's whiskey, all these crazy taxes, and no one knows where they're going. At some point, we just have to stop any additional spending. I've said it before on this show, and just come at this from an incredibly naive perspective. How much money are we bringing in? How much money are we putting out? And let's just start and let's base that in reality. I don't want to talk about projected earnings, and I don't want to talk about the GPA of a butt-flavored donut in Denmark. Like, how much money are we bringing in and how much are we spending?
Okay, so interestingly enough, right there, what you're talking about was the appeal of Gary Johnson initially, because when he was governor of New Mexico, that's how he approached his budget. I mean, anything that couldn't be paid for, he said, well, then we're not going to do it unless we can figure out a way to pay for it. You know, I mean, we have not had a country that isn't running a deficit for, I believe, 11 to 12 years now. And that means that we have been spending more than we have been taking in. And part of the reason that people are so upset about this election as a whole is because no matter which major candidate you end up voting for, we're still going to be in debt. You know, we're not going to pay down the debt, and we'll still be spending more than we're taking in.
Yes. So, we must try to remedy that. We must try to remedy that. And I think, right now, it ain't Hillary Clinton, but that's where I want to be. I want to be in that incredibly naive. Now, Gary Johnson's not my guy. However, I'll tell you this, and once again, this is like a year in review, an election year in review. I will be the first guy on November 8th and November 9th to start helping the third party. If Jill Stein wants my help, I'll help her out. If Gary Johnson wants my help, or the Libertarians want my help, I will help them out. But that's when you need to start. And cause I'm all in for the cold hard slap of reality. What are we making? What are we spending?
So are you saying that you may actually give some love to Evan McMullin?
No, cause that guy's a tool and a douchebag.
Sorry, Stacy.
No, he's just like a hand-picked douchebag. He's like an errand boy. Do you know anything about Evan McMullin?
Yeah, I mean, basically his story is that he worked in the CIA for a very long time. He's come from a very conservative place. He's never held publicly elected office, but he's held very high positions that he was appointed to within the federal government. And everyone in Congress knows him. And he is from Utah, and he is a Mormon. So he's experiencing the same effects there that John Kasich experienced during the primaries in his home state of Ohio.
Okay, who got old Ed McMullin? I'm going to call him Ed McMullin because he reminds me of Ed McMahon, Johnny's old side kiss. That's an even better Freudian slip. How did old Ed McMullin get involved in politics?
In this particular case, he worked his way up through the CIA.
But wasn't he handpicked by Bill Kristol? Wasn't there a big national hunt for we got to find somebody else that can beat Trump? We got to stop Trump. We got to find somebody. And then I literally think they had a big giant meeting in a secret warehouse on a tarmac somewhere, and they came up with the name of Ed McMullin.
Well, you are correct. Bill Kristol did come out initially as one of the first major never-Trumpers.
Right.
And he went after other people who he felt could better serve conservatives than Donald Trump. The big one he went after initially was Mark Cuban, trying to get him to run in the third party. Mark Cuban decided that he didn't want to do it. He didn't think that he could win. And between you and me and all of our listeners, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Mark Cuban actually run as a Republican within the next dozen years or so.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, he clearly wants to be in the political game, and we saw him sort of dip his toe in the water a little bit during this election in his anti-Donald Trump rhetoric. He went on CNN, he went on Stephen Colbert, and did an entire bit where he was actually trying to denounce Donald Trump, and that's one of the reasons why Bill Kristol approached him. When Evan McMullin popped up, Bill Kristol then did get behind him.
Yeah. I think old Ed McMullin was handpicked by Bill Kristol, therefore douchebag by association.
Well,
in my mind.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Well, and you know, this is also a much larger conversation about the fact that this is interestingly one of the first years where you can really make the argument that voting third party will have an effect.
Bum, bum, bum. Well, yeah, old Ed McMullin might get Utah. And that should scare everybody. To me, that's incredibly frightening. It's incredibly frightening. It's some rich white guy in New England somewhere just goes, it's like Mr. Burns off The Simpsons. Smithers, we need someone to stop Donald Trump. Bring me someone. No, you. What's your name? Evan McMullin, sir. I want you to be my lapdog. That's just incredibly disturbing to me.
Well, I mean, what do you say to all the people who are excited about the idea that in the right scenario, a third-party candidate could actually overtake the two major parties, which a lot of people are unhappy with right now?
Oh, I'm not excited about it this election cycle, but I'm down for it in 2020. That's what I'm saying. Let's start. Let's get started. Let's start thinking about 2020. Let's start let's get a Loftus Party candidate. Not it. I got way too many. I got way too many skeletons in my closet.
So you're not gonna be supporting Paul Ryan in 2020?
What? Paul Ryan, he bummed me out. Paul Ryan bummed me out, and Jason Chavez, bummed me out. I'm not gonna be like, I'm never Paul Ryan and I hate Paul Ryan, stuff like that. I'm just bummed out with those guys. Especially that, Chavez, yeah. Whatever his name is.
Jason Chavez.
Yeah, cause he's like, I cannot support Donald Trump. He horrifies me. I'm horrified by this. And then, once the winds change a little bit, he's like, oh, I'm voting for Donald Trump. I'll vote for him. It's like, wait a minute. Where do you stand on anything, guy? You gotta pick your horse and ride. Well, either Hillary's really bad for the country or she's not.
And amazingly, I think that they're coming from a different place. I think they're coming from a place of personal political survival. Paul Ryan dropped Donald Trump the minute it became a possibility that the Republicans were going to lose the House. That's when it happened. The timeline is there. So Paul Ryan was clearly thinking about his own favor in that moment.
Yeah, no doubt.
And ironically, Bernie Sanders has been using a Paul Ryan quote in all of his in his stump speeches, because one of the things that Paul Ryan got up and said was that if the Republicans lose, that means Bernie Sanders becomes head of the Senate Budgetary Committee, which...
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
If the polls are correct, that is actually looking likely right now.
Oh, that's no good. That's no good. And I don't believe the polls, by the way. I don't. Well, I think we might be in for a shocker there, Andrew Apple. I keep looking back at the Ronald Reagan campaign against Jimmy Carter, and it looks eerily similar, where it almost looks like it's about voter suppression. And granted, now it's a WikiLeaks thing, so hang on to your shoes. But this is the tactic that the Clinton campaign used against Bernie Sanders. They had the polls they liked, they had the sampling that they liked, and they would hold up these polls and tell the Bernie people it's hopeless. It's hopeless. And like the ABC poll that had Hillary up by something like 12 points last week, now has her ahead by 1. Now all of a sudden, the Hillary people are like, well, that's not a good poll anymore. And the Donald Trump people are like, well, that is a good poll. It's like, I've had it with the polls. I literally, I don't know which ones to believe and which ones not to believe. And then there's this dude on Fox News, Chris Direwalt, who I usually pretty much like. He goes, well, here's what I do. I take all the polls and I hunk them all together, and that gives me my average of all the polls, which at first blush seems like it's a good idea, but if all the polls are bad, then your number is going to be bad at the end. So you can't average out bad polls and hope to get a good poll number.
While I don't know that I agree that the polls are quite as skewed, you do bring up what I think is the most wonderful point, and that's the importance of going out to vote on November 8th. That the polls, whatever they are ultimately meaningless if the right number of people show up and vote for the candidate that they want to see get in office. I think that, I feel like that's something that's been forgotten up until this point, that if you want to make a difference, sitting there and tweeting about it isn't going to do it. But getting up, making sure you're registered to vote, that will. If you show up and you support your candidate with your vote, there's nothing they can do to stop you.
Well, one would hope. However, I'm with Barack Obama on this. He gave an incredibly inspiring, commencement address where he boiled it down to this. Our democracy works like this. Whoever gets the most votes gets to do what they want. Vote. Anytime they give you a chance, vote. Vote on dog catcher, vote for your mayor, vote for, city council. Don't just vote in the presidential election. That actually does frighten me, and I hope I don't sound too jaded or bitter or something. But if you have no idea what the issues are, and you're just gonna vote for Hillary because you're excited that, she's got a vagina and she's a woman, so you should vote for her, please don't vote. Cause I trust your judgment. I don't trust your judgment. So do a little research. Get on the Google, do some research and then vote. But you gotta promise me, if you're gonna vote, you gotta do a little research.
Oh, Liz, I'm 100% behind that. And, there are wonderful voter guides that, I'm personally a big fan of public radio's voter guides. So check out your local public radio's website and they will give you a lot of the information with very little bias.
I don't believe that at all. I think it's loaded with bias. You know what I just found out? That's like this crazy statistic that just frightened me.
What's that?
Federal employees are overwhelmingly Democrats. Overwhelmingly Democrats. Like, it's like 96% of them, 97% of federal employees are Democrats. That's terrifying.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to be a business-minded Republican and wanting to maximize your financial potential and then go into public service, because it does not matter how hard you work in public service. You get paid the same money no matter what.
Right. Listen, we've got a boatload, the federal government. I wonder where they fall on the list of who employs the most people. What is it, like Walmart's number 1 and the federal government's number 2, something crazy like that? That's a huge voting block, and they are never going to vote for what's best for the country. I believe they'll vote for what's best for their job, and that I find terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Well, but at the end of the day, isn't that ultimately what everyone is doing? You know, I mean, yes, if you're coming from a conservative perspective, you're thinking of having as small of a government as possible, but that's about having as many personal freedoms as possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how is worrying about your own personal freedoms different than worrying about your job?
Oh, because as the Democrats become more powerful, my personal freedoms erode. So while you'll protect your job at the DMV or whatever, you're going to slowly erode my personal freedoms just because, you want to keep your job. And that to me sucks. Like, the founding fathers said I'm allowed to have a gun. And all of a sudden, that'll be in question because a bunch of people wanted to keep their job at the DMV. That's terrifying to me. The idea of that. I'm talking big picture stuff.
You were saying that you wanted to jump back and talk about Newt Gingrich on Megyn Kelly.
Okay, please tell me you saw that.
Yes.
Please tell me you saw the Newt Gingrich Megyn Kelly thing.
Yes, I did.
That was awesome on a whole nother level of awesome.
All right, tell me why.
I loved it. Why? Because he called her out. He just called her out. And in a way, she was in the hot seat because he was calling out all of Fox. And it's hysterical to me because he's talking about it was a debate on media bias. And he was saying this story X got all of the coverage, while this story Y about Hillary Clinton got 57 seconds of coverage. And it was too funny because he said, so according to me, you spent this much time on Trump's sex thing, and you spent this much time on Hillary Clinton's open borders thing. You must be fascinated with sex. And because he said those words, the big headline in all, like, ABC News, CBS News, and all their Twitter feeds, they went with the very salacious, Newt Gingrich says she's fascinated with sex, which is not what he was saying at all. But they so quickly turned it into a sex story. It was a riot.
Well, what do you say to the critics who make the argument that because Newt Gingrich was saying it in a very exasperated, over-the-top, somewhat condescending way, that he lost the argument? Because in general, when you can make your argument clearly and succinctly without having to have it be a personal attack, which some would argue it did turn into, you do make your argument better.
He won the debate. He won the debate hands down, fair and square. She had on her big girl pants and he had on his big boy pants. And here's how I know he won the debate. You want to know how I know?
How do you know?
At the very end, right before the cameras were about to leave the satellite feed, Megyn Kelly goes, well, thanks, Newt, and take care of those anger issues you got. She tried to take that one last little dig, and that is the act of someone who's desperate, and she tried to make it personal, and Gingrich came back with, you too, right? So that's when I knew she had truly lost the debate, and she knew she lost the debate. When she threw in that little dig, let's watch the anger issues. Loser.
Yeah. Did you know that Megyn Kelly is already making moves to get out of the Fox News house at the moment?
I bet she is.
Did you hear?
Tell you what.
Did you hear where her next gig is going to be right after the election?
What is is there rumors? Are the rumors swirling about? Where is Aeon Flux going to land?
Well, actually, it's not a rumor. It's a fact. She is going to be co-hosting the daily syndicated show Live with Kelly Ripa. So it's going to be Kelly and Kelly chit-chatting about all the day's news.
Oh, that's got disaster written all over it. That has got disaster written all over it. What's the over-under on what do you think? What do you think of that? Does it have a future?
I think it has no future whatsoever. People seem to forget that daytime television and daytime news are two very different things. And I think Megyn Kelly really does fancy herself as a hard-hitting journalist. And every time a hard-hitting journalist has tried to jump into the daytime realm, they always fail. Anderson Cooper failed, Meredith Vieira failed, Katie Couric failed, and I have to believe that Megyn Kelly would do it as well.
Yeah, I don't watch the Kelly Ripa at all. The only time I've ever seen it has always been by accident. But it's like she's good when she's like talking about her weekend. You know, when she and Regis used to be, I tried to get tickets to this Broadway show, but it was sold out. So I called my stepbrother and he got me. It's just no, that's not going to work out. Oh my goodness. So Cheryl Atkinson tweets out, now Cheryl, who's a friend of the show, and a fantastic journalist, she says a friend of hers tried to vote in Florida and was told she could not vote because she had already voted.
That's disturbing.
It's deeply disturbing, and it's deeply, deeply disturbing, when it's coming from Cheryl Atkinson. Cause, talk about a girl who's not gonna go off half-cocked, and she's not gonna just go around spreading vicious rumors. Yeah. If you're not following Cheryl Atkinson, follow her on Twitter. She's amazing. But yeah, she tweeted that out a couple hours ago. And I'm like, wow, there must be something there. So hopefully Cheryl is in full on, investigative journalism mode and is tracking that sucker down.
Well, and also make sure that you head on over to loftusparty.com because we have a great video from season 1 of the show where she talks about things she's dealt with that show that the news media isn't always trying to give you the full story.
No, they're not. Here's one they buried that I think is just, once again, this should have been all over the presses the last week. Do you know that Loretta Lynch took the Fifth last week? Somebody in Congress was looking into the Iran hostage payments thing, and Loretta Lynch was called to testify, and she took the fifth.
I feel like, this is the difficulty, because now I'm thinking like an attorney. Is there something about national security that we don't know right now that would cause her to plead the fifth? Because I know, and this might not be a popular opinion, but it's easy to argue that she's clearly just coming from a selfish place trying to worry about her own self-interest. But is there a world in which what she's talking about could have effects on other things?
Maybe there is. Maybe there is. However, they need a different thing you can plead for that. You need to have like, Congress is like, hey, so what's up with all this money that went to Iran? Instead of saying I plead the fifth, if it's like, hey, this is about national security and I can't really talk about this in front of cameras, so I'm gonna have to plead, let's talk about this shit in the bathroom. They gotta come up with a new plea. Cause whenever you hear, I'm gonna take the fifth. Now it's a thing. We're all protected by the same constitution. We all supposedly live under the same set of laws. You're allowed to do it. But that just looks dubious as all hell. It looks incredibly dubious. I can't talk about that. I'm gonna plead the fifth.
All right, well.
It makes me laugh. The world is a crazy place, Andrew. And a lot of times the rules that we live by don't make sense, but there is a place where we make up our own rules and everything's wonderful. That place is called Michaeltopia. So, what do you got?
I'm gonna start off with something I said earlier. In Michaeltopia, we vote. And when you don't vote, you don't get to complain about what happens in the world. If you don't like how your schools are being run and you didn't look into who is running for your local school board, you don't get to complain. If you don't like that you got an increase in your water bill this month, but you didn't look at what the measures were in relation to the DWP in your local city, you really don't get to complain. In Michaeltopia, we vote and we know what we're voting about.
And in Michaeltopia, we vote on the small stuff too. We don't just vote once every 4 years. You vote locally. You can make your community better by making the changes that you want to affect. So vote a lot and read a lot. Do your research and vote. In Michaeltopia, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And I got 2 swords for this one. A long time ago, everybody was like, wow, isn't WikiLeaks great? Because they're reporting on what the Bush administration is doing in Iraq. And WikiLeaks, they're the great bringers of truth. Well, now that sword turns out has another edge, and it's like, yikes. Here's the level of wackadoodle corruption in the Democratic Party. So you can't blame it on the Russians now. Because if it's the Russians now, it was the Russians then. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And in Michaeltopia, if James Comey was a hero in July, he can't be a villain in October. So in Michaeltopia, we live by the sword, we die by the sword.
All right. In Michaeltopia, Chicago people are not allowed to hate the Cleveland Indians if things don't go their way. I know, if you're a Cubbies fan, it's tough and you've wanted this for a long time. But to the victor goes the spoils. And if the Cleveland Indians do end up winning this World Series, you're not allowed to riot.
Yes. And please, no matter how it goes, I'm glad that it's gonna sound, trite, but it is a shame that somebody has to lose. Cleveland has waited a long, long time. I know Chicago has waited longer. It's beautiful and it's sad at the same time. It is the World Series of ennui. It is the French World Series. In Michaeltopia, if you're going to vote for the first woman president, you might want to make sure she's not a career criminal. Nobody has a problem with a woman being president. I got a problem with a criminal being president. People go to jail for this kind of crime. Right now, there's a dude sitting in prison because he took a picture of a piece of a submarine, and he had it on his laptop. He didn't show it to anybody. And that dude is in jail. He's not going to be released early. He's doing the full stretch. So I'm all for a woman president. Let's just make sure she's not a criminal.
All right. I think that's the perfect place to bring it on home.
Bring it on home. All right. Well, we have a lot of work to do. We've got a bunch of episodes of The Flip Side that we're going to be taping down at Hermosa Beach Comedy and Magic Club, live at the Lounge this week. LoftusParty.com. Check that out for the Daily Dose. Our best wishes go to Stacy. Stacy, we need a speedy recovery. We need you back on the air. And that is all the news that's fit to print. Flipside Loftus is the Twitter handle. Make sure you follow us there. Andrew, what do you got going on, buddy?
You know what? I've got a couple of projects I can't talk about right now, unfortunately, but stay tuned on my Twitter at Andrew Apple as I can report more. And then as always, you can hear more of my voice over at SoFreshSoPrince.com on my other podcast, where if you want to get away from politics and you want to jump into 90s nostalgia, that's the place to go.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I will talk to you later, America. This is the Loftus Party. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. We're almost there. We're almost there. Sayonara and good night.